Tick-tock, time to rock. Yo, I'm sorry, I got distracted. I was about to go on a rant and a tirade, but then I glanced over. I gotta stop glancing over at the comments in the chat because they always derail my epic intro. But so we have, yo, Dave Wood, where you at? Where you at? And then we have, you're hiding, boy, you're hiding. So we got all sorts of awesome stuff like this. But anyway, we got Saajid. If Saajid actually joins, I'd be impressed. I'd be impressed too, everyone. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think it'll ever happen. And I'm fine with that. Saajid is under no obligation. Saajid is under no obligation whatsoever to ever join us live. The weird part for me is that their fans always think we're the ones who are running from them. Isn't that the weird part? Anyway, hey, yo, Jai and DOC. You guys there?
Yo.
Hey,
Ha!
What's
It
up?
It did work. So, guys, yes, it's me, D Wood, with Jai and DOC. This is going to be a pretty short stream by our standards. Sometimes we go 3 or 4 hours or longer, something like this. This probably won't go past 7:30, even if we get to. I'm not even sure we'll get to 7:30. Because we're just going to go through Saajid's video, and he goes in a different direction from other people, but it's a pretty terrible response to the Islamic dilemma, wouldn't you guys say?
Yeah, definitely a terrible response to the Islamic dilemma. But hey, maybe he'll watch this and he'll get some inspiration for what passages he's going to respond to in the future, because he did say that he's going to do that. So we hope to help you, Saajid, with some passages that we want you to go over, we want you to cover. You can go over all the commentaries you want to, whatever you want to do. But yeah, maybe this can be educational for Saajid.
We're going to help you out. We're going to help you out, Saajid. We're going to help you understand what the Islamic dilemma is. More importantly, we're going to help you understand how terrible your methodology is. Hoping that there is some part of your brain that has not been completely corrupted by your prophet. And it's basically, Saajid, what Jai was just inviting you to do right there. Hey, we're going to give you passages and stuff, and then you'll understand where we're coming from. And then you're going to attempt to respond to that. Now, how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to pick and choose Quran verses, and you're going to go to ambiguous, unclear verses in the Quran. You're going to insert the meaning that you want, and then you're going to use the meaning that you've inserted into those passages, which is indisputably not what the passages are actually saying. And then you're going to use those to throw out the clear meaning of the clearest verses in the Quran. That's what you're going to do. And in order to get those meanings, in order to insert those meanings into these ambiguous texts that contradict the clearest verses in the Quran, you're going to go to later Muslim scholars who understood, wait a minute, the Quran affirms the Bible, but the Quran contradicts the Bible, so we got some issues here. And therefore, occasionally, they criticized the previous scriptures and said, oh, yeah, the previous scriptures were corrupted. But you'll have to pick and choose your commentaries because there are tons of commentaries that agree with us. So you're going to have to pick and choose Quran verses, go with the least clear verses and use those to rule out the clear verses. Then in order to justify that, you're going to go to later commentators, and then you're going to have to pick and choose your commentators, and you're even going to have to pick and choose passages from your commentators, because you'll go to one passage and another passage completely refutes you and so on. But that's what you're going to have to do. Now what I'm hoping, Saajid, is that somewhere in that process, since I've told you about it ahead of time. I told you about it now, and then you're going to do it. It's going to be funny because I'm going to replay me telling you what you're going to do before you do it. Why? Because this is what every last one of you does, and you have to do it. You have to do it. Because if you go with the clear meaning of the clearest verses in the Quran, you would agree with us. You'd have to, because those are the clearest verses in the Quran. The clearest verses in the Quran are affirming our scriptures. So if you want to do away with that, you have to have an extremely sloppy, messed up methodology. So that's what you have to do. You've been told ahead of time. And I'm hoping there is some part of your brain that will click when you're doing it, when you're in the process of doing it, this verse says this. I need it to say this. So I'll go to this verse. But this verse isn't clear. Let me go to the tafsirs to give it the meaning. Oh, well, darn. This commentator agrees with them. Oh, this commentator agrees with them too. I'll throw him out. This commentator agrees with them. Let me throw that up. Here's a commentator who gives it the Islamic interpretation that we have now. Let me go with that one. Ha ha. And then you'll state that as like fact. I've never seen anyone who cherry picks like this, and never in my life have I seen this level of cherry picking. You guys do it with the Quran, you do it with the Hadith, you do it with the Tafsir, you do it with the Bible. You guys, you're the same guys who can read 1,000 verses of the Bible in a row that all say Muhammad's a false prophet, Muhammad's a false prophet, Muhammad's a false prophet, Muhammad's a false prophet. You get to one, a camel will walk in Arabia, and you go, oh, what else could this be about but about Muhammad? It's a clear proof that Muhammad is a true prophet. This is what you guys, I've never seen this level. And Saajid, in advance, when you're doing this, when you're doing exactly what I say you're about to do, if you ever try to respond, and I still doubt that you're actually, there's part of me that doubts that you're actually going to do it. I think you'll just keep putting it off, and then it won't actually happen. Because the second you do, we're going to be all over you. This is a bad time to be giving bad responses to this argument, because there's a bunch of people on it right now. But when you do it, hope you recognize what you're doing and realize D Wood told you. And anyway, if not, I'll still be here to remind you. So anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on this before we jump into this?
Well, Saajid, in my opinion, he's like the cheap knockoff for the big Dawa guys like Mimi Hijab and Ali Dawa. So now that Mimi Hijab's in the dust, and he actually tried responding to the West Huff thing, he's trying to step in to get some.
Yes.
That's what I think. That's why he stepped in too soon before he even had a response. He said, "Oh, let me go and check it out and come to tell you guys." You see?
So that's DOC's theory. That fits. So you get that, guys? You're to be fair, I've always liked Saajid significantly more than some of the other guys, because he will call out some horrible behavior of his fellow Muslims, whereas other Muslims are like, don't you ever call out our horrible behavior, it will be an embarrassment, and so on, and then they'll heap in insults and abuse on him. But he actually will call them out, so I've liked that about him. He doesn't come across as a compulsive liar and just horrible scumbag the way, some of the other guys does, like horribly abusing women. So I don't know what he's doing, but I don't have any evidence that he's like that, and so he has a cleaner record as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, always had a more favorable view of him than I have of some of the just obviously evil Dawa guys. And I'll say there's always a distinction in my mind. You can spot the Dawa guys who are in it for themselves. They're narcissists and they want attention. So that's like Sheikh Uthman, Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawa. They're in it for themselves and they use Islam for themselves. But then you have other guys that they legitimately seem to be interested in defending Islam. And so he doesn't seem like a narcissist like some of the other guys. With that said, he has been pretty upset in recent years that people like Muhammad Hijab and Sheikh Uthman and Ali Dawa and so on, these guys are in the spotlight, and the less narcissistic guys aren't. So yeah, looks like he's sitting here right now going, aha, now's my chance. Now's my chance. Muhammad Hijab, he's in trouble. Ali Dawa's in trouble for defending him. Sheikh Uthman is in all kinds of trouble. Now's my chance. So I'll jump in with the Islamic dilemma and give a terrible response, a total terrible response.
It'll definitely backfire.
Oh, it's going to backfire.
Yeah, I agree that he's not a narcissist like the other Dawa guys. However, well, we'll get into, I guess, the video, and kind of this will kind of uncover itself. But he does have his own Dawa flaws. But that's with all Dawa guys. But you know what? What I learned about him is, and I said earlier that he might be watching or something. I have a high degree of confidence that he'll be watching this stream, because I know from the past experience that we've done streams where we respond to something he said. He does interact. He does comment and
watches everything.
Yeah. So when his name gets brought up, and this is what I was talking about, maybe one of his flaws is that he flocks to it. So I don't think he'll join the stream, but I do think that he will watch it. And funny enough, it was actually when we were responding to him, it was actually to do with you, David. When you were one of the times you met with Uthman, and he did like the fake death threat thing, where he got like the Sons of Sam,
Oh
letter.
yeah.
So we were responding to that, and then Sajid came into our comments, and he was like trying to defend Uthman and all that stuff, and
then he deleted
then
it.
he deleted his comment. Then I learned when he writes a comment, I have to screenshot it because he'll delete it. So he did like 3 more times, but I ended up screenshotting the other 2, and so that told me, okay, if this guy's name's in the title, he's gonna watch.
We know you're watching, Serge.
So I think a pretty high degree level of confidence that he's watching. So yeah, so Sajid, we definitely want you to respond to the argument as we lay it out here in the stream, okay? We don't want you to use a straw man like you do in your video where you completely misrepresent what the Islamic dilemma is. Just replay David's voice or our voices when we say this is what the Islamic dilemma is, and try to respond to that.
Yeah, and why'd you say I'll respond later when I've checked? Why don't you bring your stuff first and then respond? It's like complete... Anyway.
Yeah.
Disappointment.
It's like, here's a video on how I'm planning to respond at some point in the future after I've studied this stuff. Why don't you just go and study it real fast? Huh? And really, yeah, and really, I mean, how seriously? You're just now thinking about studying the Islamic dilemma stuff? So that's one issue. But 2, how long would it take? Because, if you just want to respond to 1 or 2 verses, I mean, how long does that take? Like if you just wanted to respond to Surah 5 verse 47 or Surah 5 verse 68 or something like that, if you just wanted to respond to something like that, how long does it take? Oh, here's what the verse says. And here's a bunch of commentaries on it. How long does that take? In other words, seems like Saajid might already know this is going to be harder to defend than Muslims realize, which I agree. It's going to be way harder to defend than Muslims realize. I agree, Saajid. You are...
The answer needed for him to go check, he didn't give it straight away, did he? So it's not that easy.
Right.
Yeah. If it's so easy to refute, haha, what a dumb argument. If it's so easy to refute, why aren't you refuting it? And why are all the refutations of Muslims who are trying to refute it so terrible, like beyond terrible? Weird stuff. But the funny thing is, and I'll pull this up in a second, but you've got all these Muslims. So just to be clear, we have repeatedly invited Saajid to join us live. If not in this, one, he could contact us. He could say he's here, and we'll invite him in right now. But even if he doesn't want to show up now, even if he wants to prepare, do his studying, we're inviting him in the future to discuss this. Right? Just to be clear.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
We're happy to.
Okay. That's 3 of 3. That's 3 of 3 here. And guess what? God Logic and Anthony Rogers and Chris from Speaker's Corner, we're all on the same page. We're inviting people. And if you're watching right now, you're going, why do they keep emphasizing that they're inviting him? We heard you the first 90 times. That's the point. All of his followers will instantly start posting, why are they running from Saajid after he posted this video? They'll all do that. And it all falls into the same category. They only hear what they want to hear. They're like that with the Quran. So they'll read verse after verse after verse affirming our scriptures, and somehow that just doesn't register. They're programmed to ignore it. They'll go to the Bible. They'll ignore all the places the Quran clearly, they'll ignore all the places the Bible clearly would say that Muhammad's a false prophet. They'll ignore all of that. They'll only see confirmation. And then on these issues, we can invite them 1,000 times a day, every day for the rest of our lives. Their followers will still go, hey, they're all running from the power of Saajid. It's amazing stuff. Anyway, let's look at this first little clip, which is what Saajid's fellow Dawah guys think about it.
Yeah.
It's what Saajid's fellow Dawah guys think about Saajid. Let's see.
Well, today we're going to be speaking about a particularly opportunistic individual who has
He's
more
opportunistic
content against Muslims than he does against enemies of Islam. We are talking about this man who's supposedly a graduate of Medina University, Lipham. Yes, we're talking about Lipham, who unfortunately made a video, an opportunistic video that he has made, not the first.
Somebody sent me a video of Brother Saajid.
Hey, I just have to point out the irony of Muhammad Hijab saying that someone else is opportunistic. And think about it. What's he actually talking about here? He's condemning Saajid and saying Saajid is opportunistic because he calls out the horrible behavior of Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawah and so on. But guess what? Why? because he saw the disaster coming.
Yep.
He's reading these guys like I am, and thinking it is a matter of time before these guys are in full meltdown mode. It is a matter of time before these guys do massive damage to the ummah. Now with me, I'm looking at it and rooting them on. Oh man, I can't wait till these guys do all this damage to the ummah. So I'm cheering them on. But Saajid, he sees it, and he's thinking, I need to call them out now, because these guys get more and more popular. The more popular they get, the more damage they're going to do in the end. He understood that. So he understood he had to call them out as quickly as possible. Didn't work. But guess what? He was right. He was right. So these clips are from in the past, but Saajid has been proven right about you guys.
Yeah, Saajid was one of those guys who was very disappointed, very upset by the Yasser Qadi interview, and he saw the damage that it did. He said, actually, that was one of the reasons why he converted to Islam, was because of so-called
perfect preservation.
So yeah.
So in other words, what he would mean by that is, years ago, a Dawa guy lied to him and said, perfect preservation right down the letter. And he goes, wow, really? That's a miracle. I have to believe in that book.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the parallel of Ali Dawa saying that he converted because of the scientific miracles, and later on realized that the scientific miracles was a bunch of nonsense, but he's staying in Islam anyway, because now he's kind of in it.
Yep.
What a religion. It gets all these Dawa guys in by lying, and then they build their lives around it, and it's too hard to get out, so they just stick with it because they're cowards.
Exactly.
Interesting stuff. All right, here's Ali Dawa.
Me and his dispute. It's nothing personal. Yes, Saajid, you're watching this. You are a 5-star, grade A jahil. Nothing personal. And I'm going to show you how ignorant this Medina student Saajid is. Nothing personal. You jahil, ignoramus. Nothing personal. And you have no damn knowledge. Nothing personal. You have no wisdom in doing dawah. That's why I don't blame you from sitting in your room as a Medina student doing reaction videos. Nothing personal. Like you ran away when a Christian came and approached you. You ran for your life. Nothing personal. I will fundraise.
Whoa. Is he saying Saajid runs from Christians?
Yeah, so there was a particular incident that Saajid was in. I think it was like a grocery store or some sort of store, and some Christian had a booth or somewhere. They were giving out like tracts, gospel tracts, and they approached him and they handed him a tract, and there was a little bit of a discussion, and then Saajid, he did run away.
And someone recorded it.
Someone recorded it, and so this is Saajid now. Okay, he doesn't know he's being recorded. This is one of these big Dawa guys. But so when he actually sees a Christian who's evangelizing, he doesn't talk to the guy about Islam. He doesn't debate him. He just runs away.
Yeah.
Run, Saajid, run!
And so Ali was pointing that out, and he's like, dude, you had a discussion with. You didn't even have a discussion. You ran away from the Christian because someone posted it. I think Saajid might have taken it down or something because it was embarrassing for him. Because I tried searching for it like everywhere. I can't find it anymore. But it used to be like a very popular clip of him, and that's what Ali was referring here.
But there is a video. There is a video by Saajid explaining, saying, look, I didn't know. I was on the phone to someone else. I was distracted. I didn't know someone was recording me, like trying to explain away why he ran away from the debate.
Yeah, he said he was buying like perfume oil or something like that.
For a friend. Which is a male friend. We don't understand that. But anyway, he tries to explain.
That makes it even worse.
He tries to explain it on his video.
I was buying my favorite perfume for my male friend. Anyway, no. I just want to be fair to Saajid, all the Dawa guys are running now, so
yeah,
you can't fault him for running when once again he's ahead of the game, right? He was ahead of the game with these guys. He saw where this was leading, but he also saw where Dawa in general is leading. It's just leading to Dawa crumbling and Muslims being on the run and only looking for ignorant people to use the Dawa script. So he's once again he is ahead of the game, and so can't fault him for that. I mean, which one of these guys is not going to run at this point?
That's true.
Yeah,
go look at Speaker's Corner and how quickly all the Dawa guys are to run right now. All right, so back to Ali D here.
And even from my own pocket for a sadaqah jariyah, so he can come back with real knowledge and hikmah to serve the ummah in a better way rather than backstabbing. Nothing personal. Sit down in your chair, in your little room, reaction videos as a Medina student. That is what you're known for. Nothing personal.
Do you know what? Right now,
Hold on.
Straight from the hotel. Straight from the hotel. Here comes Muhammad Hijab.
Yeah, straight from. Yeah, who's in the room? Who's in? Let's see. Go ahead and pan the camera around, Hijab, and let's see who's in
But
there.
you want to see the reflection in his glasses, actually.
Yeah, of Aisha.
Yeah.
Screaming.
So we got Aisha, one of his other mutta wives, in there in the hotel room with him, and Ali Dawa. We don't want you to pan the camera around because we know it's Smiles to Jenna there with holding some grapes, to grape you in your mouth again. But anyway, you can't even. It's like a giant joke. It's like Dawa. Anyway, I have to ask though. I have my idea in my mind. I don't know a ton about these guys. I don't watch their videos and stuff a lot. I only watch when someone's like, "Oh my goodness, did you see this disastrous thing that they said?" That's when I'll check it out. But Ali Dawa was blasting Saajid and calling him ignorant and saying, "Hey, I'd do a fundraiser for you to get some knowledge." Who would you say is more knowledgeable about Islam, Saajid or Ali Dawa?
Oh,
What do you guys
definitely Saajid.
Yeah, I would say obviously, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Ali Dawa, he even jokes around, and he, one time Adam Salah called him Ali needs Dawa, and he actually took that as a nickname for himself, and he says that about himself, and he's very open about the fact that he is not knowledgeable about Islam.
And that's not to say that Saajid knows a lot. He only spent like a few days in Medina or something. But
Look,
definitely more than
I
Ali
flew
Dawa,
over Medina one time. You can't tell me. I absorbed the hikmah and the haq and the hikmah by osmosis. Wow. So we're all in agreement that he is massively. Wait, is he the one who started Ali Needs Dawa? Because I've been seeing that one for years.
Oh, Adam Salah did that one. He was the guy.
He did it?
Yeah. That was him. It was because they had this beef on YouTube. Ali Dawa tried calling him
Oh
out
yeah, he
for
was
doing
condemning them for all the stuff that they're
Yeah.
doing in their videos. When then Ali Dawa becomes the champion of the drama channel and selling Viagra and free mixing and all this stuff. Wow. This is, show me anything in the universe more dysfunctional than this. I mean, I come from a pretty dysfunctional family, but these guys make my family look like, I mean, the Brady Bunch. It's weird. Okay, here's Muhammad Hijab.
I'm actually very angry. I'm not gonna lie. I'm angry at the fact that
I'm angry at my muta wife.
He actually misrepresented a private conversation.
A private conversation with my muta wife.
Bro, I'm not gonna leak the conversation. I'm not like you. I'm not gonna stoop to your level. Bro, everyone can see through you right now. You're a clout chasing monster. You're a clout chasing monster.
He's a clout chasing.
I know.
It's like the irony of ironies coming from this guy.
And he does leak private conversations.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, there's a lot of leakers in this community because you guys mentioned the holes in the narrative interview that was brought about by Fareed leaking emails and stuff. These guys are leaking all over it. That's where he gets his golden shower saying from. It's all the leaks, all these leaks all over the place.
They need a plumber.
Need a plumber.
Up. Yeah? Shut up. How dare you come out? Bro, I challenge you, bro, to a mubahala.
Oh,
I'm going to put you in your place. Wallahi, I'm going to cancel you, bro. Let's do a mubahala. Let's do a mubahala. Whether or not you were representing me correctly in that private conversation, that you selectively chosen some things and not other things. Let's do mubahala, bro. Go on a Zoom, let's do a debate and a mubahala. But you're not a man.
You're not a man because you won't do the mubahala. So that's where that came from, because that was in in the Behind Veils. I thought that was him challenging them to mubahala. So it turns out so they were just playing that clip to show that he is quick to call for mubahala, which raises the question, why, when there's this woman saying, "Hey, this is my ex-husband here, and here's how he treated me, and I challenge him to mubahala," he runs and hides like Saajid at the supermarket from a Christian. So now it all makes sense. So Muhammad Hijab is quick to call someone out for mubahala, and Yet on this issue, his ex-wife, he won't go near the mubahala. Huh.
So I'm wondering if Muhammad Hijab like works for Zoom or something, because he does marriages on Zoom, he does mubahalas on Zoom. I think he does like everything on Zoom.
He takes advantage of that Zoom subscription to the max.
Yeah.
He want to do that mubahala with Saajid on Zoom.
Yeah. And he got married on Zoom. So I mean, I don't know. I think Zoom might be paying this guy or something. I don't know.
It's the religion of Zoom. Religion of Zoom. Wow. So guys, that's keep in mind, everyone who's watching. So these guys have a very low view of Saajid, but who's condemning him? The worst people on the planet. So that's a good sign. If I put it this way, if I knew absolutely nothing about Saajid and I just saw these guys flipping out on him, I would say, who do these guys flip out on? Oh, normally people who are much better than them. And therefore, that would be a sign to me that he's actually significantly better than they are. But gotta love the Dawa Wars. Gotta love the Dawa Wars.
Oh yeah.
Well, he's not worse.
Yeah, absolutely not. And it's funny, just everything they're saying about him is true massively of them and significantly less true of him.
That's true.
Correct.
Well, let's take these first batch of super chats, and then we will jump into a powerful refutation. I couldn't even say it. A powerful refutation of the Islamic dilemma. Oh my goodness. Oh, these are good days. These are good days. I've said before, it's always like for years in my mind, I was always like, okay, I've never seen a good response to this, but maybe there's one coming. And eventually we'll get to someone who gives an awesome response. And the more they respond, the more I'm convinced this is as airtight as anything gets. Ape should challenge Jake Shields to Mubahala. That'd be a good one. Because Jake Shields definitely ain't going to debate. He might go for that. Is the stream going to be in English or Screaming Goat? We try to do both, but we're going to stick to English today.
We'll put subtitles.
Indeed. Is it easier to debate Muslims or atheists? What do you guys think?
When you say easier, I mean, it's like depends what you mean by that. Like as Christians, we have this desire to see these people saved, whether they're Muslims, whether they're atheists or whatever, Hindus, whatever they are, we want to see them saved. So if you have the desire to talk to, let's say, Muslims, then you want to study up, and it might be easier for you when you study it or talk to them. But it depends on the person. Like if they're studied about atheism, then it's going to be easier for them. If they're studied about Islam, or if they know both pretty well, then you can do both pretty well. So the goal is the same, though. You want them to ultimately repent and to believe in Jesus. But and a lot of times debates are very helpful in that. Actually, debates are usually a tool that God can use to draw people to himself and show people that their need for him. So it depends. I would just say it depends on the person.
Yeah. This isn't true of all Muslim debaters or all atheist debaters or something like that. But I would say, sort of proportionally, atheists on average are going to be more intelligent than Dawa guys. Like atheist debaters, on average, are going to be more intelligent than Dawa guys and are going to have more intelligent arguments. However, the Dawa guys will have been focusing significantly more on rhetoric than the atheists. So even though they're giving less intelligent, worse arguments, they can sound more compelling to an audience. And so it's just, I would say they have different advantages. Let's see. Dean Responds made a refutation vid. Will y'all debunk? We will be debunking everything that anyone puts out. I noticed that Dean Responds has posted multiple responses to the Islamic dilemma. He's been focusing on Testify's videos, and Testify has been putting out several Islamic dilemma videos. But the first thing I'm probably going to do with Dean Responds, I didn't watch it yet, but he titled his response video, "It took 5 of them to respond to me." And it's like, dude, it's just fun. It's just more fun with a group of people. Just more fun of a group of people laughing at your horrible arguments. But just to respond to that, I'm probably going to pick one of his videos and just do it just by myself, solo, and that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just to be clear, Dean, I know you have this big ego and stuff, but David didn't see the video before we went live. Testify didn't even know what video we were responding to. We had to tell him what video we were responding to right 5 minutes before we went live. Daughter of Christ, she didn't even know she didn't watch the video. The only ones I think who watched the video was myself and Chris, because I wanted to prepare some notes for it. But more than half the people didn't even see the video. They just jumped on because they're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's just respond. It's fun. But it's not like it takes a big council of Christians to get together.
Any person in that live stream could have responded to.
Yeah, I only just heard what Jai said, and I checked the Arabic in 5 minutes, and then I laughed at you, Dean, if you listen.
Yeah.
Would have taken my little toe, not 5 of us. It was just more fun.
Yeah, so, we will be responding to everything Dean Responds says. Why? Because he's one of the guys who's interacting with it. So, all you Dalwa guys out there, if you want attention, this is a good time to get some attention. It's not going to be great attention because you're going to be looking all kinds of stupid, but we'll give you some attention if you're responding to the Islamic Dilemma. Hi, David. You should look into the Kashmir attack. Well, in an hour and 20 minutes, I will be live with Robert Spencer, and we will discuss that because it's This Week in Jihad. David, I was told by Jibreel that the current Dawah guys lack hikmah and need Ali Dawah's Viagra to increase it for the Ummah. That's totally true. I say that all the time. They lack hikmah. They need Viagra. Jai and DOC. Oh, hi, David. What's up? It's a game of mix and match to them, but nothing matches. Yeah, that's Dawah. Kids? Oh, it's Daniel Hakikachu. Someone mentioned kids.
Hi,
I can't remember what you said, but didn't you say there was a more consistent interpretation of the Quran that doesn't deny Jesus' death? Yeah, I have a video on that. It's titled something like the Quran doesn't say what Muslims think it says or something like that. But I go through it. It's a minority position. But definitely defensible. And if they want to be in line with history, I think you should go with the minority position on this. D-Wood, you're late. I challenge you to mubahala. I accept. Allah made me eat it. Aisha's goat, probably. That's true. Had to eat those verses. Oh my goodness, my favorite streamers, Jai and DOC. Oh, hi, David. When did that become the main joke, the oh hi thing? Because that really picked up recently. I know why the mubahala thing came about. I didn't know where the other thing really took off.
Yeah.
Just sent mubahala pic on all hijabs X post. I wonder if it's personal. Yes. Might I get some advice? I've had many denials and counter arguments in the comments of my Islamic Dilemma 2 video and have been spending hours responding to them. Should I instead focus on studying for the project? That's up to you. Both of those are completely reasonable. It's good to be interacting and arguing and responding because guess what? You're gonna run across all the objections over time, and that will help you. That will help you in the future. Keep in mind, this is ultimately airtight. If someone catches you with something, it's waiting to be exposed. So you could respond to that, or it makes perfect sense to say, you know what, I'm gonna ignore this stuff for now and just focus on developing the argument. So either way, that is up to you. These impersonal comments are sounding awful personal.
Yeah.
Nothing personal, right?
Yeah.
Nothing personal, right? You little weakling. Nothing personal, and we're proud of that. Let's see. Saajid is just jealous about Dawah, and jealous starts with J. What group of people starts with a J? Mossad agents aren't even hiding it anymore. This is the proof. No one tell Candace Owen. She will use this. Hijab in the hotel room with DL Kalbi. Mojab's opportunistic, the biggest no you in his career. Then again, I think being opportunistic might be the seal of the prophet. Zainab and all. You see the giant mole of opportunity, the proof. These are all good points. We need to come up with the Christian equivalent of a mubahala, and it better sound cool and scary. Mubahala does sound kind of cool. Mojab will challenge Allah to mubahala before he accepts Aisha's. That's true. Where is dog logic? They call him that because Muhammad's scared of the black dog. That's funny.
You know what's really funny is that God Logic started calling his dog, like his actual dog Logic. Because
that's funny.
Yeah,
that's
so he kind of turned it around on them.
Yeah. I just call mine Muhammad. In all seriousness, it's very hard to take the Dawa clan seriously. Yep, I am praying for their salvation in Christ Jesus, also praying for Aisha's salvation. Yes, that's good. Which Dawa guy's conversion to Jesus would be more impactful? What do you guys think?
Impactful.
Oh wow, that's a good question.
Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Let me have the top G on our side.
Man.
Sneeko.
So
What about Sneeko?
yeah, I'd have to pick a Muslim who really, really, really takes Islam seriously, and then like if he gets saved, he would like take the Lord seriously, you know. But like I think Ali Dawa or Muhammad Hijab, even though they're very popular, I don't think that they take Islam that seriously.
I wouldn't take them seriously if they
Yeah.
said tomorrow, hey, you know, I've after years of careful consideration, I've concluded that Christianity is true. I would think it's a grift. I would not trust them.
It would take some time, you know, like kind of like a Paul's conversion. It would take some time. They need to build some trust. That's a good question. I have to think. What do you think? What do you think?
I don't know. They're all so evil. I can't imagine them saved. I know that's bad.
Yeah.
But
It is
I'm
rough.
sure they will be good once they come to the Lord. I just
Yeah.
can't imagine it.
Maybe equal. Maybe yeah.
It's sort of like when I'm thinking about these guys, I'm thinking what a dumpster fire these guys are. It's like I would like them to be saved and so on, but as far as like how they are now, it's like I'm glad you're on the other side, because you would have to be transformed massively before I would want you on our side. So I have to think some of the more classic guys before all the narcissist lunatics took over. So like, you know, someone from the older generation, Shabir Ali or Zakir Naik or something like that.
Could you?
Sheikh Asim al-Hakim,
Oh
the
wow.
one that told people to get out of his house.
Yeah. You see, I think like Uthman ibn Fibn or something. I think like if he were to be like he would just be, there'd be like a huge scandal about him or something like that. Like because the guy's such a liar. I feel like he would just. I don't know, but if the Lord really saved him, just like if he really saved any of them, you know, we would praise God for it and hope for the best. But I just, yeah, I'm like you, I'd be like really wary of what they're, you know.
Yeah, you bring up an important point. If Sheikh Uthman came out tomorrow and said, "Hey guys, I've become a Christian, and so hey, I want to be part of," I would be thinking, okay, news is about to be breaking of something you did with 18 different women behind the scenes, and you're trying to get a new shield like Andrew Tate used Islam for.
But he would like make up lies about like he would be like, I just found the first Bible written ever, and like, you know, he would like, you know, he would like make up some like
Yeah, I know. Now everyone, 17 Muslims tried to kill me yesterday, but an angel appeared and struck them all down and made them disappear, and now there's no evidence. And it's like, come on, dude. The truth doesn't need that sort of nonsense that you guys use in
no, the
Islam.
truth doesn't need lies to defend it.
Cult says, I found out Grok will draw pictures of Muhammad. Could be useful. Well, I will test that later. Did you look at the tafsir of 2106 addressing Jews' Islamic dilemma? Did you look at the tafsir of 547 by Ibn Abbas? Best luck.
Yes. Yeah, we that's one of the things that we're doing is we're going over all the commentaries, and we're not translating all of them, but we're like note if they say like, okay, Ibn Kathir is just the same thing as Al-Qurtubi, we'll like note that. But yeah, we're trying to go over all the commentaries for all the relevant verses. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Almost through these. If a Dawa clown ever left Islam publicly and claimed to be a Christian, is there ever a possibility of trusting him, or would you just assume it's tequila? You said tequila. To backstab once they gain your trust. No, Jai actually pointed out. He said it would. Jai and DOC pointed out it would take some time. You'd have to watch them for a while.
Yeah.
And as they point out, that you know, that was true of the Apostle Paul. He had to earn their trust. It's different because Paul was clearly sincere, and apart from some quick motivate, like if he's just shows up and says, "Hey, I'm one of you guys now," you'd be thinking, "Is he here to kill us?" But after spending a little time in the Christian community, he would have no reason to do that. He would have no reason to do it. He took his religion very seriously. If it were to infiltrate something, maybe he could have done that. But if he's like over time defending and preaching it, it's like that is not the sort of guy who would be making this sort of thing up. Whereas Dawa guys, yeah, they are exactly the kinds of guys who would make things up. So it would take a bit longer to earn some trust, but they could do it. I know you won the Mubahala you were part of years ago when you had Nabil as your witness and your opponent was cursed. But how were you blessed?
That's funny. We were just talking about that.
We're just talking about that. I have to go find it because I still have it. I have it signed in my own blood. But the what was put in the contract was, at least as I recall it, because this is like, I mean, almost 20 years ago now. I put in this before any of you guys ever heard of me. I put what I agreed to. So one, I said, I'm not cursing you. I said, I will call down a curse on myself if I'm wrong, but I'm not gonna curse you guys. And so I put in there, again, to my recollection, I will actually pull it out, and I have it signed in my own blood. I said, if I'm wrong about Christianity, God will kill me within 1 year. And if I'm right, God will bless me to use me to destroy Islam. Before any of you guys ever heard of me. So again, that's my recollection. I'll have to check the actual wording and stuff like that. But I recall I was going to die within a year if I'm wrong, and then I put in there, if I'm speaking the truth, that God's going to use me to expose Islam somehow.
That's amazing.
You know what's crazy? Your mubahala worked in your favor, but Muhammad, their fake prophet, he died within a year.
That's right.
When he did the mubahala.
Poor Momo. Poor Momo. Love you guys. Thank you. I think someone trolled the Sahaba on Isaiah 42. Isaiah 42:19. Who is blind and deaf like the messenger I send? Quran 2:18. They are deaf, dumb, and blind, so they will never return. Yeah. Isaiah 42 is not going to work out for them. Muslim Me Too is going to be crazy. Oh yeah. No, that is the thing, right? You wonder how many more women are going to start coming forward, so that Aisha doesn't have to stand alone. You Muslim women who are watching and you've been abused behind the scene by the Dawah guys, you got to call this stuff out. So don't let Aisha stand alone. Don't let her take a stand alone. Got to stand with her. Solidarity with your sisters. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this video. I did want to point out some pretty hilarious, just the comments on Saajid's video. So Saajid posted his video saying he's responding to the Islamic dilemma. And look at the top comment, 165 thumbs up. The most interesting thing about all of these videos is that they never invite a Muslim.
Liar.
How many hundreds of times have we invited Muslims to join us?
I think we do it almost every other stream, if not every stream.
Yeah, Saajid, join right now, man. We've been going on for a bit.
You're probably watching, Saajid. You're probably watching.
Just make yourself known in the chat.
Yeah,
I'll give you the link.
But I mean, isn't it funny? They're talking about here they're talking about these videos where we're explaining the Islamic dilemma. And the funny thing about these videos is that they never invite a Muslim. What was it, Friday? We were on God Logic's channel. Open invitation to any Muslim on the planet. And multiple Muslims did call in. They didn't give good responses. They all got crushed. But open invitation to any Muslim who wants to challenge us on this issue. What are we doing again on this Friday? Same exact thing on God Logic's channel. What are we doing the following weekend? So what are we doing? Over and over again, we're inviting Muslims to join us. And then this is a comment on Saajid's channel. Saajid has always been invited to join us. Fareed has always been invited to join us. Ali Dawah, Muhammad Hijab, any of these guys who want to discuss the Islamic dilemma, open invitation. Somehow these guys all like it. They all give the thumbs up. This becomes the top comment. They're scared. They're running. They would never invite a Muslim. Bunch of lying cowards, man. Bunch of lying cowards. It's like they want to run, but then they want their reputation like everyone's running from them. It's pathetic, guys. It's absolutely pathetic. But it reminds me of like Zakir Naik back in the day. He did 2 debates with 2 people that weren't Christian debaters. And then every Christian debater on the planet challenged him to debate. He backed down from all of them and said, "You're not worthy to debate me." But all his fans think they're all running when they're all challenging him. And you got the same thing now somehow. It's amazing. So anyway, I responded to this, and I said, "What planet do you live on? We constantly invite Muslims to join us to discuss and debate this. In fact, I'll say it here tonight at 6 p.m. We'll be going through Saajid's video. Open invitation. Saajid is welcome to discuss this with us live. On Friday, 5 p.m., we'll be live on God Logic's channel, where any Muslim on the planet can join us and respond, including you. So the question is, why are you lying? And why do you get so many likes when you lie? Does it make you feel better to think we're the ones who are scared and not your Dawah heroes? Seems like pretty correct response. And then
Yeah.
this guy actually responded. He says, "Sure, mate, we'll come by to channels that eat our sacred texts. We interact with adults, not children. You'll never come to our streams where it's blasphemy free."
What?
Blasphemy free. Isn't all you guys do whine about the Trinity, mock the Trinity like 24/7? And who is this even? I've never even heard of you before on your streams. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So they complain about us not inviting people, and then when we invite them, like, why would we go to your channel? Why would we go to your channel? You just complained, and there's 165 of you. This guy's probably one of those 165 who liked the comment, and then they ask us, why would we go to your channel after we invite them? How does that make any sense?
Did we eat anything during God Logic? No.
Nope. But notice the admission here. He's not denying that we invite him. He's saying, "Oh, but yeah, when you invite us, we're not going to listen to you." Okay, so you guys claim that we don't invite you, and yet we do invite you. And then when we say, "What are you talking about? We do invite you," you say, "Oh, but you're bad." And but I mean, think about this. They eat our sacred texts. You're not nice with our sacred texts. We're not nice with your sacred texts that call us the worst of creatures and order you to violently subjugate us and that lie about us and say false things about us. We're not respectful enough of those texts.
Yeah, and by the way, the Quran's full of blasphemy about Jesus, about the Trinity. Mm-hmm. So the Quran's full of blasphemy. So by his logic, we shouldn't even deal with Muslims at all.
Yeah, but if Muslims never misbehaved, you wouldn't be eating it, because you only eat it when they do something bad, like call out people's wives and families and that.
Yeah, and why don't you point that out? We are Guraba. Why did we eat the Quran? Because Muhammad Hijab sent his followers after people's wives. He said, we're not going after the critics of Islam anymore. We're going after their wives. And I said, no, you're not. I will eat your book. And when you guys are coming at us like that, give me that same decision in 100 parallel universes. 100 times out of 100 times, D Wood will make you stop that. And if I have to eat your book, that is exactly what I will do every single time. We don't care about your book. Your book is garbage. The only reason we're respectful at all is if we respect the person. But when the person is saying, "Oh, I will do all these things to your wives," okay, then respect just went out the window, and all we're left is our contempt for your book. But apart from that, we interact with adults, not children. What is he calling childish behavior and unadult-like behavior? So disrespecting sacred text. So being disrespectful with sacred text, eating sacred texts, and so on. Okay, what did Muhammad do when he conquered Mecca and took the Kaaba? He went around stabbing the idols of the pagans, poking out their eyes and stuff with a stick. So according to this guy, that's childish behavior. And so it's not adult-like behavior, because keep in mind, Muhammad doesn't have to do that. He can just quietly remove those things. He doesn't have to go stabbing their eyes out and insulting them like that and degrading them. And yet he did. So childish behavior. Congratulations, we are Gareba. You're an ex-Muslim now. You just insulted your fake prophet.
Yeah, and what is a child in Islam anyway? We're all over 9 years old, so
9-year-olds are adults. Everybody's an adult.
Yeah, ask Daniel. Ask your buddy Daniel, who's a child in Islam.
If there are signs in that 3-year-old.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If there's signs.
If she smiles at you, that means yes.
Yeah. If she smiles, it's in her eyes. And apart from that, remember how Abu Bakr, the first of the rightly guided caliphs, Muhammad's father-in-law, closest companion, remember what he said to one of the polytheists? Close your kids' ears right now. Kids, close your ears. Kids, close your ears. Kids, close your ears. You've been warned. He was talking to one of the polytheists, and he said, go suck Allot's clitoris. So Allot was a pagan goddess that this guy believed in. Abu Bakr said, go perform oral sex on your goddess. Now, that's the amazing thing. If we said, hey, ya Muslim, go give Allah a BJ, you guys would you will never talk to this person again. This sort of behavior is so un-Islamic. On what planet? Where are you guys getting that? Now, this is where I have to say the people like Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawah with their stupid insults and constant, they're actually more in line with Muhammad and his companions than you guys are. You guys have invented a nicer version, a nicer, more respectful version of Islam than what your fake prophet taught. Anyway, so that's the great irony in all of this. So even though we're the ones constantly inviting these guys on for discussion, we're somehow the ones who are running And even though their prophet goes around completely degrading and insulting other people's religious beliefs, stabbing their idols and so on, poking their eyes out with a stick, that's childish behavior that would be childish behavior for us, but it's okay for his prophet. And we see how his prophet's companions acted, and he was rightly guided. Abu Bakr was rightly guided. Weird stuff. All right, I want to jump into this video, but I did see a comment from Chris from Speaker's Corner.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's one right here. 18 Ministries said, wasn't last week's prompt chapter 5? No, I didn't give a prompt last week because I was traveling for part of it, and then I was like, oh, Easter, people are doing all this stuff for Easter, so I didn't post anything. If you read chapter 5, you're fine. You're fine. You're totally fine. It's good. That's the most important chapter for the Islamic dilemma. So if you're ahead, then go ahead and just go back through the passages because they're going to come up a lot. Chris at Speaker's Corner said, Dean responds. Hey, by the way, Chris, you could just jump in if you want. If you're bored, you could just jump in. We're about to check out this video. And, we got to jump into it because we don't have long. Dean responds said in his response to our live stream covering his video that I'm not interested in formally debating the Islamic dilemma. 10 out of 10 best response ever. Yeah, shocker.
Wow.
Wait a minute. That's the guy who's challenging us to debate. He's sending me and AP debate challenges with him and his partner, but he doesn't want to debate this issue. Isn't it interesting? Oh, this is such a weak argument. This is such a dumb argument. Can't believe no one takes this argument seriously. Okay, well, let's debate it. Prove us wrong. No, I will never do that. Not interested.
I'll tell you what, Dean respond. Do a 2-on-2, you and Saajid with a couple of
No,
us.
they had one with Orthodox Muslim versus AP and David. So they already wasn't this one of your titles that you offered to them? You know, because you gave us a third title for a debate, and this was it, the Islamic dilemma. So now, is this him declining your offer? Is that what this is?
I agreed to a batch of 3 debates.
And the third one was the Islamic dilemma, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, and he's saying he won't debate that. So
Wow.
We'll find someone who will. Or better luck next time. Mojab can't accept mishaps Mubahala because he has a Bai al-Kalbi perfume. You see, he is not afraid, just gay. This is very rude, guys. You don't know what he's into. He seems to be into varieties of women. Although I have to, given his comments about golden showers and all that other creepy stuff and gimp this and gimp that, I'm guessing there's a really creepy side. And that's probably why he has to discredit this Aisha so much, because he didn't want details coming out. I'm reading the Quran for the ID project, and it's annoying how many translations are in fake KJV English or water it down. Is there any that does neither? Oh, yeah. I have a question for you guys. Is the Quran like that in Arabic? Is it like in Arabic? Is it like old English sounds to us? Is it like...
So the way Arabic is just as a language, it's like you have like a standard language that's written and that you write, but it's not spoken. Well, it's not spoken like on a daily basis. It's called like the glossia. That's what they call it in linguistics. But so there's like a spoken language. This is why you can have like people like Muhammad Hijab who can speak like Egyptian Arabic, but their Quranic Arabic or their it's like really bad. You can have that situation where like someone might be really good at speaking like their family dialect, their local language, but when it comes to reading text or something, they might have zero education in that. So just as a default in Arabic, when a text is written, it sounds different than how you talk anyway. But it's not like incomprehensible because you grow up like cartoons are in this language, like you grew up hearing this, so you're not like, it's not like hearing like King James English, right? So,
yeah, it's a bit more formal, like I guess Shakespearean level, but it's, if you read Shakespeare, if you know English, you can still understand it.
If you have a good education in Arabic though, there's no issues at all.
Yeah, but if you have a bad education like Mim Hijab, where you just hear Arabic from your family.
What do you mean? His dad literally owns a school.
Yeah,
a fake one.
Well,
not a real.
Well, potato. All right, we got some more. We got some more super chats, but we do got to jump into this video because I have another show here pretty soon. So let's go ahead and jump into this. This is Saajid's Islamic dilemma video, Islamic dilemma response video.
So one thing that many Christian debaters and apologists have been pushing for some time now is something that they call the Islamic dilemma.
Okay,
and
got that
recently
right.
it's being promoted even more because, as we can see
Yes.
here,
Yes, he's right.
Wes Huff dropped the so-called Islamic dilemma on Piers Morgan. So I personally have never addressed the so-called dilemma, but apparently there are Christians who are thinking that, I mean, this is the ultimate argument against Islam. So I was
There are many ultimate arguments against Islam, but yeah, this is top tier, top drawer, Saajid. This is top drawer right here.
You know, I'm glad he has picked that up. Yes, the Islamic dilemma is spreading, and that's great.
I told you he watches.
That's exactly what we want to hear.
And so, yes, let me translate all that for everyone. Going with DOC's theory from earlier that he's seeing some blood in the water, and this is his chance. This is his chance, and it's not the same way a narcissist would do it. When a narcissist sees someone else falling, it's aha! Now I have a chance to one up this other person and get more attention for myself. With Saajid, it's kind of a better motive. It's these guys are horrible. I knew this was going to end in disaster, and here's my chance to get attention on someone like me rather than someone like them. It's not a narcissist. It's more like I'm concerned about Islam, and I think I'm a better representative of Islam than these clowns are. And so with that, he says, "Oh, look, Wes Huff, they're spreading this all over the place. Don't worry, I'll save you guys." This is every Dawa guy, by the way, the narcissist and the non-narcissist. Every Dawa guy is, hey, you're all terrified right now. You're all worried that your children are going to apostatize and so on. Don't worry, I'll save you. And that's how you become popular in the Dawa community. Present yourself as the savior who is going to rescue their kids.
Yeah, and by the way, he did this clickbait thing because he put like Wes Huff and all this guy. Obviously, he doesn't play anything from Wes Huff in this video. Or Cameron. Doesn't he put Captain Chris?
Yeah, Cameron Bertuzzi
he
in
puts
there.
him in the thumbnail.
Yeah.
He puts him in the thumbnail. Yeah, he doesn't respond to him either. So he's trying to the argument, but he's not. Or he doesn't respond to the argument actually.
He does nothing.
But he talks about it, but he doesn't actually play their videos or represent them at all.
But in the future, I will.
Listening to some of what they had to say, and I was finding it interesting for many different reasons. And particularly, I was really enjoying looking up the different verses of the Quran that they were quoting.
You're looking up these verses that they're quoting?
Like the first time. This is the first time hearing about this.
He's never heard it before. He's never opened the Quran before even when he was in Medina. Only now is it finding it interesting.
I was just saying how he's more knowledgeable than Ali Dawa, and he's like, and they brought up some passages that I had to open up and read for the first time ever. And I was shocked by all these verses I'd never seen before. It's like what you expect from like a random Muslim on the street.
Because the books in the background are just for decoration. He never checked them before. Now that we're bringing it up, now he's finding it interesting.
Yeah, like we're talking about like chapter 2 verse 2, chapter 2 verse 4, verse 5.
I never made it past Surah Al-Fatiha, but now they're actually telling me to go to Surah 2.
And by the way, he never tells us what he read.
Yeah, you can see the tabs are open. I was like thinking, man, I really wish he would open those tabs up so we can, know which ones he's thinking about, but he doesn't tell us.
We know those are all Islamic dilemma videos up there.
And he's talking about us because Wes Huff never talks about commentaries. He's talking about us.
Yeah, and Wes Huff gave a very sort of bare bones, because he's doing it quickly. He's on a show. He's talking about a ton of things. And so he mentions a couple of Quran verses, 546 to 547. He points out that 547 is addressed to him, and he gives kind of a different version of the Islam. I'll probably make a video breaking it down, because one of the important things is that the Islamic dilemma can be put in a million different ways. You can do it in a variety of ways. So the way he puts it is basically, the Quran commands him to judge by the gospel. And it says he's what did his translation put? Defiantly disobedient or something like that. So he says the Quran orders him to judge by the gospel, and it says he's of the defiantly disobedient if he doesn't. And so his way of the dilemma, he doesn't even say it's a dilemma, but it's basically there are two options. I can judge by the gospel or not judge by the gospel. If I judge by the gospel, that was cool. If I judge by the gospel, I have to judge that Islam is false because it contradicts the gospel. Or I don't judge by the gospel. But if I don't judge by the gospel, then I'm going to hell according to Islam. So I don't want to go to hell, therefore I have to judge by the gospel, but if I judge by the gospel, Islam is false. So either way you go. It doesn't work out very much. But anyway, so
and looking at the tafsir, the explanations of those verses, and understanding them. And inshallah, in future videos, I plan on going over some of that information.
Wait, so because of us, he just starts going through these verses and he's looking up the commentaries. Okay, you're a little behind the times, but good luck to you. We look forward to your awesome videos and the powerful refutations.
Hey, Sajid, since you lived in Medina and you got your things in Medina, read it in Arabic, man. Like, I challenge you. I dare you. If you read the tafsirs in your weird translations and they mess up stuff, just know that I'll come after you if you do it. But if you do it in Arabic, I'll give you a little more respect.
Yes, Saajid, we want to hear it in Arabic.
Yeah, Sajid. I can't believe that we're pulling the Arabic card now.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, what's it say in Arabic, Saajid?
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
in today's-
I would be surprised if he does anything, because if now that I'm hearing this again, I'm thinking, yeah, he's like just learning about this thing, so that's not even a wise thing to do necessarily. When like you just start learning
I just
about
wanted
a topic, to just like put up refutations or whatever. It's like you want to spend some time kind of getting the foundations and getting
He
familiar
doesn't have
with.
the time.
Yeah, like he just so. But this is how he is. Like he's like, before he even has anything prepared, he wants to show people like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. So now it just tells me when he does the video, he's gonna have like no background on it, no preparation on it at all. He's just gonna like come out with it, and he might might damage his case there a little bit, but we don't mind.
I can't wait.
We'll be here waiting.
We'll be here. And Saajid, open invitation. Join us live to discuss this. We know you won't, so we'll just respond to your videos. But please tell your followers when you make a video, guys, don't say that they're running from me, because the internet's like a grocery store. You know I'm going to run.
Start with sort of an overall perspective of how I see this whole situation playing out. Now, first of all, what is the Islamic dilemma? I would summarize it as Christians who are superimposing a false theology upon specific verses of the Quran and a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam.
And what that theology is that they're imposing on the Quran that we reject is that they think Allah means what he says and they don't realize, these dumb Christians don't realize that Allah means the opposite of what he says. We know that. That's what we know. They assume that when Allah says Christians have to judge by the gospel, he means Christians judge by the gospel, and not, hey, Christians, don't judge by the gospel, go to the Quran. And when he says that the Jews don't need Muhammad because they have the Torah and that's what they're supposed to judge by, that's Allah's way of saying the Torah's been corrupted, ignore it. Just go to Muhammad. He just says the opposite. And they're imposing their Christian view where God means what he says. That's just silly nonsense to us.
Yeah. So maybe Saajid really doesn't know what the Islamic dilemma is. So let's just give him the ultimate benefit of the doubt, and let's explain to him what exactly is the Islamic
We
dilemma.
don't use theology. We use logic. There's no theology here.
Yeah. We're not importing any theology at all. We're looking, here's what your God says. Your God claims to be clear, and here's what he says. And what he says is, and he says this dozens of times in all kinds of different ways, he says he's affirming our scriptures, confirming our scriptures, commanding us to judge by our scriptures, saying we have no ground to stand upon unless we stand fast by our scriptures, saying we're reading our scriptures, saying that if Allah even tells him that if he doubts his revelations, he needs to come to us to verify that it lines up with our scriptures. He says this in all these different ways. All our theology is just, okay, we think he means what he says, and so you should take it seriously. And they go, no, how dare you tell us to take it seriously? What's wrong with you Christians?
Yeah, we're importing our theology, which is to actually take the words of a verse seriously. Because I take the words of the Bible seriously.
Yeah, and
that's about it in terms of presuppositions that we have. Is just we're like, because by the way, we could say, like, let's say if a Muslim quotes 279, which Saajid probably will quote 279 if we had to guess. Okay, we could just say, hey, yeah, there's a contradiction in the Quran there, but we're actually doing the patchwork for you guys and be like, no, there's not a contradiction here. here's why, and here's what the commentaries say. So if we wanted to just say, hey, the Quran contradicts itself, some places it says that the Bible is inspired, preserved, and authoritative, and then other places it contradicts that idea. We don't have a problem saying that if that's what the Quran taught, but we genuinely do not believe the Quran teaches that. We genuinely believe that the Quran teaches that the Bible is inspired. The Torah, the Zabur, the Psalms, the Injil, the Gospel is inspired, preserved, intact, and authoritative, and to be judged by. We believe that's literally what the Quran teaches. Okay, so we don't have a problem putting out contradictions in the Quran. We've done plenty of streams where we put out contradictions in the Quran. This is not something we find contradictory in the Quran, though. So Saajid, represent the Islamic dilemma accurately. That's what the Islamic dilemma is. Very short and concise, but that's what it is. And it's not anything about importing in foreign theology into the Quran and then misrepresenting what the Quran says.
Yeah, if we had the Islamic theology wrong, how come your commentaries and tafsirs agree with us, with what we're saying?
And that's one of the reasons why we go to the comment. Yeah, that's one of the and Muhammad. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we go to the commentators. By the way, it's not like, oh, you guys are picking and choosing because more modern commentators or later commentators might interpret it differently. But what we're saying is, hey, look, there's a Muslim who doesn't have a quote unquote Christian bias. They're not trying to prove the Islamic dilemma. This is a Muslim who believes in Islam, believes in this stuff, and we're saying, look, even they're saying what we're saying. So we're not saying like every single Muslim commentator says, X, Y, Z, but what we're saying is when they do agree with us, we point it out because we're saying, look, you can't claim that they have a bias. You can't claim that they're importing some sort of dilemma into the Quran or some theology into the Quran that's not there. These guys really believe in Islam, and yet they're saying exactly what we're saying.
And I think he's already letting the cat out of the bag here, because his point is actually going to be Christians are reading these verses and they're importing their theology, whereas we read it through our theology. That's what his point's going to be. They're reading it through their theology. They're smuggling in their theology when we're just reading words off a page and saying, if Allah claims to be clear, if he's clear, all these verses are affirming our scriptures. And if you say notice that's a different kind of dilemma, right? That's a different kind of dilemma. These verses are clear or they're unclear. If they're clear, then the Islamic dilemma stands. He's affirming our scriptures. If they're unclear, then Allah is completely unclear, even in his commands, and you can't claim that the Quran is clear at all. So either way, that's why I said you can formulate the Islamic dilemma in a ton of different ways. Think what he said. His point is he's going to claim that Christians are smuggling in theology like of our book or something like that, and we're interpreting these verses in light of our theology. What he wants to say is, no. We Muslims get to interpret these verses in light of our theology. So think about what he means there. He's just saying, here's the theology that developed in Islam, and I'm going to force that into these verses. I'm going to interpret these verses. Well, guess what? These verses completely contradict your theology, dude, and you don't care. Yeah. And guess what? There's nothing in there that gives you the theology you're saying. If you're interpreting these verses as saying the Bible's been corrupted, there's nothing in there. That's what we're pointing out. Show us where your book says it. And what are you going to do? You're going to say, oh, but our theology says, your theology contradicts the book, dude, and you don't care. That's what's amazing. You have a religion of man, not according to me, according to your own religion, according to your own book. You're listening to later guys who invented things as they needed, and they completely contradict Allah and Muhammad, and you just don't care. Why? Because you have a man-centered religion. This ain't Islam, dude. You're a mushrik. You are one giant mushrik, dude. But don't feel too bad. So are all the Dawah guys.
Now, there are two specific aspects of this false theology that they are using to misinterpret and misrepresent verses from the Quran.
Reading words off the page.
Number one is this false claim that the Quran affirms the Bible.
This false theology. What does Allah say? I confirm what you have. I confirm what you have. I confirm what you have. Christians are reading. Christian.
I want to show you something.
Oh my goodness.
We want to show him.
I want to show you something here.
This false theology. We counted it.
The Quran. I actually made a chart of all the verses for the Islamic dilemma, and it's coming in handy because we're going to show it to you guys now.
So remember what he said. False theology that the Quran affirms the Bible.
What do we have here? Every single verse in the Quran that uses the word confirm in reference to the Bible. because he said this is a false theology that the Quran confirms the Bible.
So it's false theology in Surah 297, Surah 3 verse 3, Surah 5 verse 46, Surah 5 verse 48, Surah 35 verse 31, Surah 46 verse 30, Surah 3 verse 50. They're all false theology.
All false theology.
All false theology.
We even have the Arabic right there for
That's-
you.
if you can read
if
it.
you want it, it's there, and then English translation. So confirming what is between his hands. Then this one has Isa confirming what is between his hands. Confirming what is with you, confirming what is with them.
Okay, so
This book, the Quran, is a book in the Arabic language confirming the Bible.
so he said false theology is the Quran confirmed the Bible. So he just denied 18 verses, just saying we confirm.
Yeah.
Okay?
Now show us one verse
Which
that
says-
contradicts this.
which says, forget what I just said, I abrogate all the confirmation, I don't confirm. I want to see that from Muhammad or the Quran.
Yes.
That's
so,
it.
There you go.
Did you catch that little challenge there, Saajid? So think about this, and they're importing their false theology and thinking that the Quran is somehow confirming but they just gave you 18 verses.
Oh, and by the way,
and they're asking
check
you,
the
and they're
commentaries.
asking you for one that says the
Yeah.
opposite.
And
and by the way, go check the comment because he said he wants to check the commentaries just to make sure we're not importing Christian theology in there. Go check the commentaries.
guess
'cause
what they say?
We've checked them for every single one of those.
They'll say the Quran confirms it.
That's because our commentators were importing your false theology. You guys have time machines powered by 1.21 gigawatts of Islamophobia, and you went back in time and imported your theology into all our commentaries. How dare you? And the Quran somehow. Saajid, if you really wanted to make an argument here, you need to do what Muhammad did when he delivered the satanic verses and he came back and said, the devil made me do it. The devil tricked me into that. Just say it with all these verses. Satan tricked Muhammad into confirming the Bible over and over and over again. I mean, if you want to believe that Islam is true and that these verses aren't somehow confirming our scriptures, you got to say something like that. The devil made him do it or something like that. Really, really wild
for
stuff.
anyone who wants it, you guys can just screenshot it. I see people asking about that if you want to screenshot it, or
You guys never heard of screenshotting?
Yeah, or we'll make it available like on Twitter or something like that, on X
Yeah.
or something.
Just follow us
Yeah.
on X.
Okay, so Saajid has already complained that we're coming up with weird theology and inserting weird theology where Allah confirms our scripture.
Where did they get this from?
Why are they making this
18
up?
verses in it.
Why are they making up these 18 references?
Why do Muslims blame Christians for everything? You blame us for this?
Yep.
It was their Allah who wrote it like 20 odd times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, that is actually 19 times total, but in chapter 5, verse 46, this
twice.
appears two times.
Yeah,
Yeah, twice.
this twice.
So 19 times, and there's not like David said, this is the challenge. Find one that contradicts this, that says that the book is not confirmed by the Quran, or that it's only part of the book that's confirmed by the Quran, which, by the way, 285 completely refutes. But go ahead, that's the
I
challenge.
mean, we can leave it there, really.
Yeah.
For saying,
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, that's the challenge, right? So, I mean, we could obviously go into way more detail and way more depth, and there are way more verses. Those are just the verses that specifically say confirming. There are all sorts of other verses that are confirming our scriptures in other ways, using different words and so on. And then you got hadiths and so on. So it's very simple, Saajid. You think we have this weird theology because we think, okay, if Allah has one consistent message and he says the same thing over and over and over and over again like a beating drum, and there's not one verse that gives the opposite meaning, we're just assuming Allah means what he repeatedly says like a beating drum and not something that you've imagined. That's the theology we're incorporating. We're incorporating the theology is that even though we don't believe in Allah and we don't believe in your book, we still think it's clearer than you think it is. And
Yeah.
I don't know how you look yourself in the mirror as a Muslim and say these Christians actually have more respect for my book than I do. This guy who actually will eat my book in a heartbeat, who'll rip up my book in a heartbeat. This guy actually, in a weird way, has more respect for my book than I do, because he believes it at least means what it says and not something that a guy from 200 years later inserted into the text because he was embarrassed when he found out what the Bible actually says. But that's life as a Dawah clown. Here we go. Back to the video.
They have today with them that they
What's that?
How dare they accept the consistency of the Quran?
Yes, how dare they accept the clarity and consistency of the Quran? Don't they know? What is this religion, man?
Use as their religious scripture as being 100% true and authentic, which of course Muslims obviously know this is not from the Islamic belief. However, they claim this and then they say, well,
what does he
all
say?
over the Quran.
Yeah, what does he say? This is not from the Islamic belief, meaning what Islam is now. We agree that it's not Islamic belief now. What we're saying is Islamic belief now completely contradicts the Quran. Your Islamic, but what you call Islamic belief is not real Islam, according to the Quran, where you are supposed to unquestioningly agree with Allah and Muhammad. I have to say, I mean, I could pull a Sheikh Asim al-Hakim and say, you're a kafir. Get out of my house.
Yeah.
You don't believe it. You don't believe in what Allah says. You don't believe in what Muhammad says. You're a kafir. Get out of my house. It's weird though. If it's something about banging a prepubescent girl, they're like, yes, this is exactly what it means. And how dare you question it? You're a kafir if you question it. With the rest of with everything else Islam says, oh, it's just pick and choose. And oh, we don't like this. We don't like this. We don't like this. So we'll just assume Allah means the opposite of what he says. What is this religion?
Right. Right. One of the few things that the Quran is actually clear about, they're like, it's unclear.
It's how much it confirms the Bible.
No Muslim believes this. It's like,
Well, that's your own fault for not reading your own Quran.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything that the Quran is more clear on than this. And so this is why it's so important. If the Quran is, if Allah means the opposite of what he says on the issue where he seems clearest,
yeah,
don't ever tell me to take your religion seriously, because I can't. There's no way for me to know what your God is saying. If you have someone who comes up to you and he just randomly says the opposite of what he means and he never tells you when, I wouldn't be interested in having a discussion with that guy at all. Just get away from me, dude. I'll never know when you're telling the truth, when you're saying what you mean, and when you're saying the opposite of what you mean. But that's what Muslims are telling us about their God.
And look how like easily he says it. Oh, it's not a Muslim belief. Like, he's not just contradicting his God so hard. Like, Saajid.
Yeah, forget it's in the Quran.
It's like a Christian,
Muslims don't believe it.
It's like a Christian coming out to say, hey, it's not a Christian belief that Jesus died on the cross. That's what you're literally doing in Islamic terms. And you're not even like trying to twist any verse or go into any commentary or go into any crazy modern commentator or anything. You're just saying it like it's fact when it isn't.
I think that, and this is just me, just because we've been reading, the Quran for the Islamic dilemma. I think that the message that the previous scriptures have been confirmed is a more clear and consistent and like beating drum sort of message than the message that there's only one God in the Quran.
For sure.
We're gonna have to add that up. We're gonna
Yeah.
matter of fact, we'll do this since we're coming up with a list. We'll have to add things up.
Tally that. Yeah.
Yeah, just because their dawah guys have been saying Bible is corrupted for the last 50 or so years, that's your fault.
Yeah.
As a Muslim community,
Like-
that you don't go to the Quran for your theology.
And I want to point out, and we have to. It's almost 7:30, so we're gonna have to get cooking on. We're gonna have to get cook. We're gonna have to get cooking on this video. No, I mean as long as I'm done by 8, I can still jump into this week in jihad. But as far as counting, yeah, we can count all these verses up and see where we actually have more evidence than for lots of other Islamic issues. But also as far as arguments are concerned, I think it's only 2 verses. It's only 2 verses in the Quran that say Muhammad is in the previous scriptures, where it's a bunch of times where Allah says, the reason you should believe in the Quran is because I'm affirming your scriptures. He says that way more times. So guess what? It's a more frequent argument, right? So it's one thing to say, hey, Muhammad is in your scriptures. He says that's twice, right? But over and over again, it's you should believe in my scriptures because I'm confirming your scriptures, which Saajid says he's not doing. These idiots think Allah's affirming their scriptures. He says you should believe in the Quran because it's affirming your scriptures. And then Saajid throws that out. Okay, so why should we believe in the Quran? If it's not affirming our scriptures, and Allah says the reason we should believe in the Quran is because it's affirming our scriptures, and you say, no, that's just Christians importing their theology into the Quran. But I mean, think about this. It's like the Quran gives that a bunch of times as a reason for believing the Quran. Even the argument from literary excellence that you should believe in the Quran because it's so great and no one can imitate it. Try to imitate it. I think it gives that argument 5 times. It says more times than that you should believe in it because it's confirming your scripture. So I want to add it up. This
I
may
think
be
so,
this
yeah.
may be the most popular argument according to the Quran itself. This may be the Quran's number one argument. The Quran is affirming your scriptures, so you should believe in the Quran, which Muslims are just trashing when they're, what? These idiots think the Quran's affirming their scriptures. What a joke, man. That was a joke.
Yeah, I
All
mean,
right.
there's one verse that says like, "Oh, if this is not from God, then you'll find many contradictions in it." That's one verse.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's one verse that's supposed to prove that the Quran is from God. But like you said, there's like 70 million other verses
Yep.
that say that the Quran, this is confirming the book that came before.
This seems to be Allah's favorite argument that
Yeah.
you're trashing, Saajid. You're mocking and ridiculing, and so is every Dawah guy. These idiots think that Allah's it's his favorite go-to number one argument. And isn't it funny that it's becoming our favorite number one go-to argument, right? So we're once again more in line with Allah than you are, dude. It's Allah's favorite argument, and it's our favorite argument to use against you. All right, back to this video here.
Well, there are contradictions between what the Bible teaches in comparison to what the Quran teaches. Therefore, this is an Islamic dilemma. But then when Muslims respond and say, no, Islam does not teach that the Bible is the 100% preserved word of Allah, they
And we
move
say, show us that, and you can't.
on to the second false claim. Well, your prophet essentially told Jews and Christians to adhere to their religion and to follow their book. So how
That's
How is that a
exactly
false
that's exactly what he says. Surah 5 verse 43, Surah 5 verse 47, Surah 5 verse 66, Surah 5 verse 68 says it over and over and over again. Somehow we're wrong about that too.
they adhere to their religion and follow their book when it hasn't been preserved for them? To which Muslims respond and say, no, actually, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he's the final messenger. He was sent for all of mankind.
And the main argument he came with was that he's affirming your scriptures, which Saajid says he didn't, and therefore we have no reason to believe in him.
Jews, Christians, all of humanity should follow him. All of humanity should follow the Quran.
Should follow the guy. Why? He even says in Surah 2, the reason we should follow him is he's affirming our scriptures, which you deny.
exactly.
Exactly.
This is all very common knowledge when it comes to Islamic theology.
Notice he says Islamic theology, not the Quran.
Yep.
He brings his Islamic theology from Dawa gangs.
Yeah, the
This-
Quran says twice. The Quran says twice that because Christians and Jews have the Bible, that there are certain realities, certain facts that they know just as they know their own sons. Because they have the Bible, right? Because they have the Bible. Twice the Quran says this. One time it's about the Kaaba and things like that. The other time it's about Muhammad, supposedly, his prophet and whatever else. But the Quran is saying that because you have the Bible, you can be just as certain about certain things. You can be certain about certain facts, a set of facts that the Quran, presumes, because you have the Bible, just as you can be certain about your own sons, the knowledge of your own sons, the intimate knowledge you have of your own children. You can have that level of confidence to know that this is true. Not because, part of it's corrupt and part of it's, no, because it's Allah saying He's saying, I inspired it, I preserved it, and it's authoritative. That's why.
Yeah, and the Quran doesn't say go to Muhammad. It says, why did they come to you when they have the Torah, which has the judgment of Allah? Surah 5, verse 43.
And in fact, the Quran instructs Muhammad to go to them, to go to the Christians and the Jews.
So ask them if
yeah.
he doubts. So I don't know where it is that Muhammad is the last and the be-all, end-all, like you say, when your own Quran says to the Jews and Christians, go to their book.
Why are you Christians inserting your theology? And by theology, I mean literacy. Actually being able to read what all these passages say. Don't you know you're just supposed to go to theology from centuries later? And yeah, what he really means is, but this isn't what the Dawah guys believe.
Exactly.
Saajid, once again, I'll say it again to make it perfectly clear. We're saying that your Islamic theology and your Dawah nonsense contradicts the Quran. And if you want to prove us wrong, all you have to do is chapter such and such, verse so-and-so shows that our theology is correct. That's what we're telling you. You have never been able to do and will never be able to do. So as you're making your videos in the future, just keep that in mind and prove us wrong. We'll be waiting patiently.
However, rather than interpret certain verses of the Quran and a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, according to the well-known foundational Islamic theology.
Did you hear that? Guys, he just admitted it. You have to interpret these verses according to our theology. Well, so our theology says the Bible's been corrupted. And therefore, when you go and read these verses where Allah says he's affirming the inspiration, preservation, and authority, you have to assume he means the opposite because of our theology. Your theology is nonsense not according to, yes, your theology is nonsense according to us. We're saying your theology is nonsense according to the Quran itself. And you just don't get it, and you just don't care. And when we point that out to you and we say, look, the Quran does not say what your theology says, he says, but we'll take my theology as true and then use that to reinterpret all these verses of the Quran to mean the opposite of what they say. And we're pointing it out. We're pointing it out to you, and you just don't care, man. Terrible Muslim. Terrible Muslim. What's up?
It's like saying if something is well known because our gangs have made the lie so popular, then we should read the Quran with that well-known theology or understanding.
That's why he's clinging. That's why he still clings to preservation, right? It's the same thing, right? Here's what I've been taught. I've been taught perfect preservation. These Yasser Qadi comes along and says, no, it hasn't been. There's all these differences in there. How dare he? Yeah, reality does not line up with what you were taught, Saajid. So Saajid, just think about this. Think about this, because you know it. You know you were taught perfect dot for dot, letter for letter, preservation of the Quran. You also know that what you were taught was wrong. Guess what? Get your mind around that you could be taught something that's wrong, that your dawah heroes could teach you something that you later found out to be false because they're compulsive liars. Get your mind around that and then say, could our dawah guys have been spouting complete nonsense about what the Quran says about the Bible? Maybe reality does not line up with what I've been taught. You've been shown that what they say does not line up with reality. And yet, on every new issue, no, I have to believe just what I heard when I was told about this. And you're acknowledging you haven't even studied it before. So what are you clinging to? You're not clinging to the Quran. We're the ones telling you what the Quran says. You're still clinging to what the biggest bunch of liars the world has ever seen. I've said it before. I spent years in prison. I never in my life met people who lie as freely as the dawah guy. I'm dead serious about it. I'm not joking.
Wow.
Liars in prison, they generally try to cover up their lies or make their lies believable. The dawah guys just lie like it's a sport and they don't even care.
Yeah. True.
Because there's no accountability, because their fans will not hold them accountable. Their fans will cheer for them no matter what. It's just like when he says, hey, why do these guys never invite Muslims? And you all like it. Bunch of liars, man. Anyway.
Impose their wrong theology.
Yeah, we're imposing our wrong
certain
theology.
Verses in a
That's
hadith
what we're doing,
and
not
claim
you.
that this is the Islamic dilemma. So inshallah, in future videos, I'm going to go over some of the specific verses that they quote
Good
so
luck
that we
with
can
that.
understand
Good
them.
luck
And
with
it's
that,
actually
bud.
is very interesting and fascinating, of course, because studying the Quran is fascinating. However, in this video, I really just want to sort of reach out to Christians and
Doing a
show
bang-up
them
job of
how
it.
this approach to Islam is extremely problematic and perhaps misunderstood at best and dishonest and hypocritical at worst. And the reason I say that is because as Christians,
We're dishonest and hypocritical, not these guys. We're the ones being dishonest.
Because we read the Quran and the tafsirs. Very dishonest and hypocritical.
And because we assume Allah means what he says, shame on us, we're hypocrites.
you all understand the importance of context, of
That we do.
interpreting verses through your foundational theology. Because I would say
Whoa. Look what he just said.
He's doing
Look
it backwards.
Yeah, look what he just said. You understand it's important to read it in context. I agree completely. And then he said, reading them through your foundational theology. Meaning, and what's he meaning? He means later Islamic theology and the stuff that he was taught by his dawah clowns and stuff that was developed later, because they're developing their theology while recognizing these problems and then modifying their theology. And then, now you have to read the Quran through that theology and not let your theology be ruled by the Quran. Did you guys catch that?
Yes.
Wow.
He's doing it backwards.
Yeah. Islam means submission to Allah. How? By just unquestioningly obeying what he says. And he's saying, no. When you go to what Allah says, you take it by later theology developed by these guys and let their ideas tell you what Allah really means and explain what Allah really means. My goodness, you are all kinds of mushrik, dude.
Wow.
Change your name to Saajid Mushrik, man.
You know
Wow.
what? This mindset is we're starting to see how widespread this mindset is in the Muslim world, where they just go by their scholars and they assume whatever their scholars are saying is what Islam says. And we were just talking about this the other day with Muhammad Hijab's hotel wife situation, because she started like showing some more emails that she's been showing about the doubts that she's had about the preservation of the Quran and things. And we're trying, you try to think about, okay, what does the preservation of the Quran and these other things have to do with your situation and you getting justice? But how she's linking this is, okay, if the scholars who take my case and they rule it justly, well, that means I can trust them, because these are the scholars who got, they got degrees from their scholars who got degrees from their scholars, and that's how Islam is passed on. So if the scholars do right by me, then that means I can trust the scholars, I can trust Islam. But if the scholars do wrong by me, that means I can't trust, because the scholars before them were probably like them, and so that's how they think. They think like, because they think like their scholars
Preserve the religion.
That's the preservation of the religion, not in the text, but it's in the scholars.
Mm-hmm. So, your just want to be clear, Saajid, your religion is based on a bunch of people, a bunch of men. And those men are saying very frequently the opposite of what your God says. We're telling you that. You're about to start researching it. Read the verses, pay attention to what we say, and then show us where we're wrong. We'll be waiting. We have here, what is a mushrik? That's someone who associates a partner with Allah. So, and you're going to, as a Muslim, if you knowingly associate a partner with Allah, you're going to hell. It's a one-way ticket to hell. That's the thing that Allah's not going to forgive. All right, let's go.
Christians do this with their scripture more so than perhaps any other religion. And I say this as somebody who comes from a Christian background. I spent many years studying the New Testament, the Old Testament.
Okay, you spent many years studying the New Testament, the Old Testament, so we're about to hear some good stuff.
In college courses, obsessively listening to Bible study lectures. When Christians approach the Bible...
Obsessively listening to Bible study lectures, studying this in college, he really, really knows. So he's going to know, he's going to have a good grasp of Christianity and the Bible as he's explaining this.
They interpret everything based on a specific theology. And it is...
No!
We do not.
What?
It's the opposite.
No,
the first rule you're going to get in hermeneutics class is the opposite. It's you let the text form your theology.
You don't put your theology into the text. You come to the text.
That's called, you're specifically warned against eisegesis. That's called eisegesis. Exegesis is getting the meaning out of the text. Eisegesis is inserting the meaning into the text. It's one of the most fundamental rules of interpreting scripture. Don't put your meaning into the text. Let the text speak for itself. And what are you doing? You're insisting upon eisegesis for both the Quran and the Bible. He's saying we're being hypocrites. Guys, everyone notice we're using the exact same method for the Bible and the Quran. Let the text speak and let your theology be based on that. And he's using the exact same methodology for both the Bible and the Quran. Namely, decide what you want your theology to be and impose that on the text. And he's flat out saying it. I mean, he is flat out admitting it here.
Well, no wonder he chose Islam then.
Perfect. That's a perfect religion for you. If you were doing all your deep studying of Christianity back in the day, yeah, sure, and you concluded that what I really want to do is just insert whatever meaning I want into the text. You found the right religion. But unfortunately for you, you had some Christians come along who said, that's not actually how you're supposed to do it. And now you're complaining that we're imposing our theology. What do you actually mean by imposing our theology? You mean we're imposing our methodology of, if you're going to say that this is your God, this comes from your God or your prophet, let's see it from your God or your prophet, not from some guy, from Dawa guy 14 centuries later. And you're going, no, I have to go with the Dawa guy because my religion's all about the Dawa guy. This is awesome stuff.
Now this makes sense.
Yeah,
now that I understand his mindset,
it makes perfect sense.
Because later on he goes to talk about, some Christian scholars say this, some Christian scholars. He's not saying this is what the Bible says. He's saying this is what some scholars say, and this is what some other scholars say. So this is his mindset: is get the theology from the scholars, and then you read that into the text, as opposed to reading the text and then letting that form your ideas and your doctrines and your belief system. Like the exact opposite of what he's saying.
Good stuff, Saajid. Thank you for enlightening us, but you're not helping your case right now. Matter of fact, we may be using this for years to come, buddy. We may be pointing this out from years to come, because you're basically showing us what other Muslims have been doing, but you're just making it more clear and explicit what you guys are doing. But here we go.
To the point where they might come across a verse that at face value means something very clear and apparent. However, they will always return to their theology to interpret that.
We will go to other passages of the Bible that may be speaking more clearly and directly about something, and we will interpret those verses in light of the clear verse. The fundamental rule is, one, don't do eisegesis, don't insert meaning into the text. But the other fundamental rule is, if you have passages that are ambiguous, that aren't addressing a topic directly and so on, but you have other passages that are clearly and directly addressing an issue, you go with the clear verses, and if another verse is ambiguous, but you have a verse that's clear, you go with the clear one, and then you let the clear one help you decide which meaning is correct in an ambiguous verse. That's not what you guys do. You don't do it with the Bible or the Quran. What you guys do is you go to the ambiguous verse, you give it the meaning you want, and then you use that to throw out all the clear verses. It's what you're doing with the Islamic dilemma. You'll go with unclear verses. Oh, it's a 279, and you'll insert your meaning into that, and then you'll use that to completely destroy all the clear and unambiguous verses that come before it, and the clear unambiguous verses that come after it. So, dude, we are not doing what you think, but you are all kinds of wrong according to both Christianity and Islam.
Verse, and it could completely 100% flip the meaning. Now, what is their theology, generally speaking, because there are countless denominations of Christianity? Well, the theology of many Christians is that, foundationally speaking, they believe that Jesus is the Son of God who was crucified. And by way of his crucifixion, he died for the sins of mankind.
Yeah, so we believe that, not because that's our theology. We believe that because that's what the Bible repeatedly says. So it's not we got our theology and then we're going to read that into the scripture. We got our theology from the scripture. And if our theology doesn't line up with the scripture, it's our theology that needs to change, not the scripture.
Yeah, Jesus says he's coming to die and be a ransom for many. Literally his words.
Yep. His words.
When I came to Jesus, I didn't read no scholars, anything. I just read the Bible and I believed what it said.
Same with me. I was in a jail cell. And Saajid, so you got this thing that you think we're doing here, right? Notice, if you were to Christians have this, Christians believe this. Isn't that weird? Anything you just said, we can show you chapter and verse, multiple chapters and multiple verses, where that comes from our book. When you're saying our theology is that the Bible's been corrupted and it can't be trusted and Allah's not affirming it, we say, where? Give us that. Give us that. And you can't give us anything. And you act like we're doing the same thing here. How are you not seeing this, dude? How? What has your religion done to you? Okay, let's see.
Those who believe in him will have their sins forgiven, and they'll go to heaven. Now, when Christians read the Bible, they always return to this foundational theology. Even if it means
to what the Bible says.
Reinterpreting a verse that at face value means something completely different, they will go back to this theology.
No. No. If we have verses in the Bible which completely taken out of context of these other verses, we would insist on interpreting the verses in light of other verses. Not, we just magically invented a theology that came out of nowhere, and then we're imposing that and we're interpreting everything in light. What planet are you from, dude? Where did you study Christianity? I don't believe you, dude. I do not believe you. I do not believe you at all.
And notice that he doesn't give any examples. Tell me a clear verse in the Bible that really says
he's about to
die for sins.
Oh yeah. He's not going to give those. He's not going to give that. He's going to give another example.
No, but he just said that these are our core beliefs and that we insert it into everything, even when we find other verses that say the opposite. Give me a verse in the Bible that says the opposite.
Yeah, I was gonna say as well. Like I just had that same thought as well. Going listening to this again, I'm just thinking because now that I understand his mindset, the example that he just gave here, this is their theology as he lays it out, and then what he's about to say. I want to see if you guys can link anything what he's about to say to this theology at all. Nothing. Because I don't see the connection there at all. But we'll see if there's any logic
reinterpret it. For example, Luke chapter 16 verse 17 says, "It is easier for heaven and earth to disappear than for the least stroke of a pen to drop out of the law."
What does that have to do with Jesus dying on the cross for sins? Anything?
Jesus being the Son of God, dying for sins.
What's that got to do with anything, sport?
Yeah, it actually helps us because it tells us that our Bible is preserved.
Wow. Yeah, that's actually what it says. It says exactly what the Quran says as well, by the way.
It didn't disappear.
And here's where Jesus is affirming is affirming the scriptures just as he does in the Quran. But we know that this is wrong, and so is the Quran when it says that Jesus affirmed the scripture. What a dude! You just helped us prove the Islamic dilemma. Oh my goodness!
Wow.
Now, at face value, this is very strong language that the law is not going to change. Think about, for example, the law of Moses and those who claim to follow Mosaic law. One very clear rule that they follow is they don't eat pork. Now, do Christians who claim to follow Jesus eat pork? Yes, many of them just had a big glazed ham for Easter. Well, how is that possible when this verse is very clear about the law not changing? Apparently the law did change. In fact, we can look at the next verse where it mentions a very specific law. It says, anyone who divorces his wife and marries another woman commits adultery, and the man who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. How would somebody understand this at face value? Well, clearly it's saying that it is against the law to get divorced and marry another woman, or to marry a woman who was divorced. And if somebody does this, then they have committed adultery. If you combine that with the previous verse, then you would expect such people to perhaps face the punishment of Mosaic law when it comes to adultery. Do Christians adhere to any of these laws? No. Does this create a Christian dilemma? Or will Christians use other verses of the Bible to explain these things?
Saajid, I do not believe you ever studied Christianity other than from in some Dawah pamphlets. Prove me wrong. If you were like a second week Sunday school student, I would expect you to understand things better than this. Let me break this down for you. We got, guys, it's already 7:50, so got to be off in a couple minutes. So I'm going to have to go kind of rapid fire with this. But Saajid, let me break this down for you. In the Old Testament, you had a series of covenants. You had a covenant with Abraham, a covenant with Noah, and so on. You had a covenant with the children of Israel through Moses, right? Moses, they have a covenant, and you can read that covenant. Read Exodus and Leviticus and so on. It says repeatedly, these are the rules for the children of Israel, the children of Israel, the children of Israel. They entered into that covenant. Those rules were part of that covenant. You're saying, why are Gentile Christians not? We've never been part of that covenant. And this is a perfect example. Because you're saying, well, if the law doesn't change, then why aren't Christians under this? We've never been part of that covenant. We're under the new covenant. And by the way, one big important caveat there, the Old Testament, the Old Covenant says that a new covenant is coming. It's predicted, it's prophesied that a new covenant is coming. Jesus brings the new covenant. And this is what I said if you have something that is clear, that is clearly addressing an issue, and you have another part that isn't clearly addressing an issue, then you go with the clear. Guess what? This very issue, what do you do with Gentile believers who come to God through Jesus Christ, through that covenant, who were never under the old covenant? They've never been under the old covenant. What happens? Guess what? The apostles had an early church council in Acts 15 where they discussed this. What about Gentiles? Do Gentiles need to follow the law of the covenant that we're under? They said, no, you don't. The law is part of our covenant that we were under. It's not for the Gentiles. So we as Christians will look at that, something that's clearly addressing it and giving a clear answer on this. And if you go here and say, oh, what's Jesus mean when he's talking about the law and it has to be, and it's not going to pass away until it's fulfilled and all is accomplished? We say, well, one, as Christians, you believe that Jesus did that. It was fulfilled and it was accomplished through Jesus. But even if you said, nope, the law still completely applies to anyone of the children of Israel. Okay, what about the Gentiles? This doesn't say one word about that. So if we're saying, can we eat pork or not? This doesn't tell you anything about that. Even if you wanted to say the law cannot change, it would be the law for the children of Israel. We're told what in the law that we are supposed to follow as Gentile believers in Jesus Christ. Eating that is not on that list. So what are you doing? What are we doing? Are we sitting here saying, well, according to our theology? No, we're saying here's the clear passage. We're going with the clear passage, and therefore we could interpret this other passage that you're putting up on the screen in multiple ways. Let's interpret it in light of the clear in light of the clear passage. This isn't us taking our theology that we came up with, that our scholars came up with, that completely contradicts the Bible, and then we impose our meaning into all these verses. This is just saying, okay, let's go with the clear passages that directly address the issue, and not go with unclear verses, insert the meaning that we want into them, and use those to throw out the clear verses. That's what you guys do with the Bible, because you go to this verse, you say, see, Christians have to follow the old covenant dietary restrictions according to this. What planet do you live on when that's explicitly addressed in the Bible itself and says we don't? I don't even know what to do at this point.
It is clear because Jesus in Mark 7 declared all food clean. We can go, like we say, we can go to verses that are clear that tell us what to do. The problem with the Islamic dilemma is there are no clear verses in the Quran that say, you know what, Allah changed his mind on this or that. Forget all your previous scriptures. Some of it might be changed. Come to the Quran. We don't have those verses. Whereas in the Bible, there are if there is a problem, as he thinks is a problem, but there isn't. But let's say there is, Jesus comes and fulfills it. And then later, this dude says, "Oh, you've got the crucifixion of Jesus that some scholars says that that's the fulfillment and it solves it for you." Where is your crucifixion in your religion that solves it for you?
Yeah. So, Saajid, my goodness, look at what you just did. You just said, hey, their methodology is to just come up with their theology that they come up with, and then to go in and just refute the words of Jesus and give the words of Jesus the meaning that they want. No. We have passages that are clearly addressing any issue you're talking about, and we say, what do these clear passages say? Okay, let's make sure our interpretation of these verses that can have multiple meanings, because they're not. Notice there's nothing in here that's talking about Gentile believers and stuff like that, right? So that issue is clearly addressed in the book of Acts, in Acts 15. So we go with the clear passage that's clearly addressing us and we use that to decide what we do, or we go to other things that Jesus said, as DOC just did. What you say we're doing is not what we're doing at all. That's what you're doing. You guys go to the words of Jesus, you incorporate your Islamic view into it, and then you use it to throw out all the clear passages in the Bible. And that's exactly what you do with the Quran. So you're importing your Islamic methodology when you go to the Bible. And so this isn't us imposing Christian theology. No, you said we're imposing Christian theology on it. No. We're imposing our theology. No, we're imposing a methodology. We're consistent in a methodology. Namely, you go to the clear passages, you use the clear passages, to interpret ambiguous passages or unclear passages or passages that could be on a different topic. That's what you do. We do that with the Bible. We do that with the Quran. We're consistent. We're not hypocrites. You also have a kind of consistent methodology in that you have your Islamic theology that came from later people who contradict both the Bible and the Quran, and you read that theology into the Bible and the Quran, even when it completely contradicts what the Bible and the Quran say. And as DOC just pointed out, look at what we would do. You would say, "What's this mean?" We would say, "Let's go to passages that are clearly addressing the topics you're bringing up, and go to the clear passages." If you were to apply that same methodology to the Quran, we would say, "Okay, here are all these clear passages clearly affirming our scriptures." If you want to say no, we're reading that into the text, the question would be, okay, what are the clearer verses that you're going to that show that you're right? And you have zero. That's what we're saying. You have zero. And you haven't shown us any, but we'll still be waiting patiently for your videos on this topic. We're sure they're going to be as good as this one, with your great knowledge of Islam, finally looking up these verses, and great knowledge of Christianity, where you don't even understand the basics of the basics, like Old Covenant, New Covenant. This is why I don't believe you, because it's standard dawah to not understand like a basic difference between Old Covenant and New Covenant. It's fundamental Christianity to understand that. So if you don't get it, it seems like you learned Christianity from the same dawah guy who told you about the miraculous, perfect preservation of the Quran. That's what it sounds like, sport. And probably the same dawah guy who years ago told you about the miraculous, perfect preservation of the Quran, told you about how the Quran affirms the corruption of the Bible, and you believed all of it. You believed all of it, and you can't question it now. Anyway, sad. Anyway, guys, we are actually out of time. I'm sorry I didn't get to all these super chats, but normally we don't have deadlines, so we can just go as late as we need sometimes. This time I actually have to be on another show in 2 minutes. So didn't get through all of the video. But it's just more of the same. He doesn't give any real response to the Islamic dilemma. He just says, look, here are examples where Christians are imposing their theology onto the text when it's just us interpreting ambiguous verses in light of clear verses and it's the same thing we do with the Quran. So our methodology is consistent. We're not hypocrites. You are consistently wrong about both the Bible and the Quran. And because of your dawah brainwashing, you just don't care. Anyway, guys, sorry I have to jump off right now to get on with Robert. But the cool side is we'll be everyone who's been saying talk about the terror attack in India. We're about to be talking about that. Final couple seconds of thoughts, Giant DOC.
Yeah. That's basically the Islamic dilemma for you, Saajid. We hope that you respond to it. Pretty sure you're going to watch this live stream. We gave you a bunch of different verses. You can screenshot the chart if you want to. Go through the commentaries. Go through it. We'll listen to your response. We'll respond to you as well. So wait. Yeah, go ahead.
And I want to say that I find it pathetic that to answer the Islamic dilemma, you went to the Bible.
That is absolutely pathetic because guess what? We could have agreed with every word you said and condemned Christianity and made a huge mockery of Christianity. That would not change the fact that your book affirms the inspiration, preservation, and authority of our scriptures and contradicts our scriptures on fundamental doctrines. So it's like we say, hey, you killed 10 people. Well, someone else killed people too. Okay, that doesn't justify you killing 10 people, dude. So anyway, better luck next time.
Not one verse from the Quran, Saajid.
Not one verse.
And you're
Prove
a
us
Muslim
wrong.
that went to Medina. Shame on you, man.
Prove us wrong, prove us wrong, prove us wrong. And hopefully we'll see soon because this is becoming a big issue, Saajid, whether you like it or not. And so you better jump in real quick because you're about to get buried with videos because there's a bunch of them. So get started. We'll be waiting patiently. Again, sorry I have to jump off so quickly, ladies and gentlemen, but got another episode. Everyone head over to Jihad Watch for This Week in Jihad. Got a lot to talk about over there because there's a lot of jihad. Catch y'all next time.